call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I don't have it noted, but I think it is your turn to pray.
Oh, wow. A moment of silent prayer. Amen.
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 All right, we'll take the roll call, starting with Commissioner Dove.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Reed. Mr. Culberson. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
And as far as I know, I'm here. So all commissioners are accounted for. So we will go to public comment. Is there anyone here today that would like to have a 5-minute public comment?
All right.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, we'll move to administrative business. Mr. Lawfrey. No administrative business. Any Commissioner Dove?
Nothing.
Mr. Reed?
I was just going to report on, I went to testify in Topeka last Wednesday, that's why I wasn't here at the meeting, on the income or sales tax, quarter-cent sales tax that Lubbock County and Leavenworth County are asking for to be able to put on a vote.
Right.
So
It looked like
that
it's
went
gonna-
well. Yeah, that went well. Nobody was opposing it. So.
Good.
And that'll be the public will decide. It will be voted on.
Yeah.
So,
It's just to allow us to ask the public to vote for it.
Mr.
That's a
Smith.
start. Just last week we had the superintendents come up from schools on elections, on how to maybe get better turnout, not just from high school folks, but maybe anybody else in our community. I thought that was pretty well received, and the engagement was very, very well done. So I'm pleased we did that. That's all I have.
And Mr. Chairman, kind of amend what I said. I probably should have led with, we're asking for a quarter-cent sales tax to alleviate property taxes. And so that's what I went to Topeka for last week. So we don't have to raise property taxes to cover the 911 expenses
Exactly.
that we got put on us.
And we're always
Didn't have a
looking for
budget
places
for.
where we can replace some of the property tax burden
Right.
with other.
Yeah, it's a bill we have to pay.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. And our other choice would be to raise property taxes. So we're asking if we could divert that to a sales tax instead, where way more people would help pay it,
Yeah.
and nobody would notice it as much.
And some
user-
folks that aren't from the
Yeah.
county would help too.
Yeah, people that don't live here but drive through on our roads and use our bridges would help us pay for it.
More like a user fee, and Jeff, I appreciate you going out to doing that.
That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. I had a question for the county administrator. The policy on ambulance and what the choice that folks have. I think we were trying to get that defined, what our current policy is.
Yeah, well, Commissioner, I think Mr. Miller is here today for his report. I think that'd probably be a good time to
So we can address that there,
address
I
it
guess.
if it's
Okay.
with you.
That sounds good. If there's no more, do we have the county clerk report, or did you have anything from that? Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda as presented. Is there any questions or comments? If not, voting.
Aye.
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 I did want to make one comment since I'm taking the chair. And sometimes I'm a really boring person, but sometimes I listen to the Supreme Court on their live recordings. And one thing I like about what they do is they will go from person to person. So I would call, like today, it would be Commissioner Dove, Mr. Reed, Mr. Culberson, and they just go around the horn and give everybody opportunity to have their say and their everybody will come to you. But if as I'm the chair, if we can kind of stick to that platform, I'll try to keep it going. And if you need to interrupt or come in the middle for any reason, if you don't mind, to be recognized by the chair first. Otherwise, you'll know that I'll be coming. We'll be coming back to you. You're going to have your chance to make a comment, but that way we'll try to keep the interruptions to a minimum.
What you say in the beginning, Mike? You're a boring person. When did this start?
Well, you know, I listen to boring things on TV. So, all right, is that okay with everybody?
I'm fine.
Let me make sure that I understand it.
Okay.
Are you saying that you're going to adhere to rules of order by Roberts? Because that's what the legislature does in order for an individual to say something. They direct that question to the chair, and the person's allowed to answer. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the spirit of the Roberts Rules of Order. We're not exactly under Roberts Rules of Order, but I will be starting with the first person and going around the horn. Everybody will have an opportunity to speak, and then we'll come back. But if you want to interrupt or you need to question a person that is speaking, like at the dais, please be recognized first before you. We just want to keep. I'm going to try to keep the interruption part down if we can, if that's okay. And we can all cooperate. And it may not always work, but we'll try. So, that being said, let's see. We have voted on the consent agenda. So, formal board action. Consider a motion to find that the final plat as outlined in case DEV 25-142. And we have our planning and zoning folks.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Case DEV 25-141 and 142 is a preliminary and final plat request for a 2-lot cross-access easement coming off of 182nd Street. It actually fronts on an existing cul-de-sac. They are wanting to create more road frontage through a private drive subdivision, which we allow through the cross-access easement. They did go to the January Planning Commission, where the Planning Commission did recommend approval of an exception for the lot width to lot depth of Lot 2, which does exceed that requirement. I will say that lot specifically has a creek running through it with a lot of floodplain and a lot of topography. So they felt that met the criteria for an exception and approved it, and then they recommended approval to this body of the final plat. If you have any questions, staff is here, and also the applicant agent can provide any answers you need.
Are there any questions?
Not yet.
All right.
All right. Is there a motion?
Come on, Vanessa.
Consider a motion to find the final plat as outlined in case DV 25142 is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations, and move that the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by this board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report and as adopted by the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt case DEV 25-142. Is there comments or questions? Seeing none, voting. Commissioner Dove.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't want you to get too
Hey,
comfortable.
John.
Charter resolution establishing transit guest tax.
Commissioners, this item is back before you to consider 2 resolutions to establish a transient guest tax in Leavenworth County. This is an item that the Commission asked would come back for consideration. So we would have 2 options here. First, because I wasn't quite sure what the Commission was looking for, we have a regular resolution per Kansas statute that allows the county to establish a 2% transient guest tax for those watching. This is basically a user fee that goes on something for short-term rentals or motels. It's a fee that's paid by the guest who is staying there, and the regular resolution per statute would allow these funds to be used for tourism and conventions in Leavenworth County. However, because this statute is not considered uniform, there is also an option to do a charter resolution, which allows you to change some of the the terms. And so the charter resolution that I've also drafted for your consideration establishes a 6% transient guest tax for convention, tourism, and economic development activities within the county. I've also included in the packet a list of all of the communities in Kansas, or at least most of them are captured on there, that have a transient guest tax. And you can see anyone that has went over 2% has done a charter ordinance if it was a city, or a charter resolution if it was a county, and modified the terms of the amount that could be collected and what all that it could be used for. So either you would not adopt both of these, you would pick one or none, depending on the desires of the commission. And so that is what we have here before. I'm open to any questions.
Mr. Dove.
Thank you, Chair. Are you saying that either we choose the 2% or the 6%?
Yes, or you could even pick a different percentage if you did not want 6. I looked at the list. I saw that Lansing had 7. I just went with the percent under that. The commission can pick the percentage that they want in the charter resolution. You could go with a regular resolution and just do the 2% and limit it to convention and tourism. You could then do a charter resolution, which you could pick your own percentage. And then based on what the commission had said, I had expanded the use for convention, tourism, and economic development activities. So that's how I've drafted it, based on what the commission said in December.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, so how much, or if any, of those proceeds would be attached by the state of Kansas?
The state collects it, and there is a small percentage that I think the state gets for the administering the program. The city of Leavenworth has a transient guest tax. They collect it themselves, which I think is a fairly large undertaking, and that's why you don't see them on the list there, because they do their own collections.
Has there, do you know of any study that's been done that would estimate the dollars that Leavenworth County could be looking forward to beginning?
I'm not aware of such a study. The county does not have motels, but we do have short-term rentals that we could capture. Yeah. I think, remembering the conversation in December, there was some talk of, with the Chiefs coming and the World Cup, that there might be an opportunity to get some additional funds.
Okay. All right.
Commissioners, just a couple of things. One, this doesn't stack. So if there's already a guest tax in place, this doesn't stack on top of it. So the cities that already have a guest tax, this does not impact them. They already have theirs. This would not be there. This is for areas that don't already have a guest tax in place. Two, we wouldn't have any way to know what it might generate in revenue because it's for areas that aren't already collecting. So there's no way to know what all VRBOs are out there, or tree houses, or whatever that might be nightly rentals that we might pick up on this. So that's I think when Commissioner Stephen asked to have this added, that's what he was looking at.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Councilor.
Commissioner Reed. Mr. Culberson.
And does the money it generates have to be used toward tourism and promote tourism and conventions, or could it be used for other things like reducing property tax? Because to me, my biggest issue is right now, only 2 out of 10 people driving on our Leavenworth County roads are paying for those roads and bridges. 2 out of 10. Because of all the exemptions we passed and the people that are working here but don't live here. So if only 2 out of 10 are paying now, we've got to figure out ways to recoup that and help those 2 out. And this would be, in my opinion, one way to do that, because they're going to be driving to, say, a bed and breakfast here in Leavenworth County on our roads and bridges, but they don't live here, so they're not paying for those roads and bridges. So my idea for the transient tax would be to alleviate property tax, to reduce maintenance on the roads and bridges that the ones that do live here that are paying. So if you put this in the motion, does it have to be used for that fund, or?
Statutorily, the convention or a guest tax must go towards promoting people coming to your county. That's where you get the convention and the visitors tax aspect. the charter resolution allows for it to be used on economic development with the intent that that economic development would increase visitors to the county. So it is restricted. It has to be used in some way. The Board of County Commissioners, before it's spent, has to find that it is increasing people visiting the county. So.
And that was the second part of my question. Is there a way that we need to adopt this, the way we do the ordinance or the motion?
I think that
To be able to
option
spend the
number
money, right?
2, which is the charter resolution, gives you the most flexibility in the expenditure of these after collected.
Because then it indirectly still lowers property tax because that's money you didn't have to spend out of property tax on that particular item. So indirectly it would.
It does.
That's all I had.
Commissioner.
I totally agree. You know, a user fee having other folks pay for coming and using our roads and coming in our community. Also, you know, we've been trying to promote Leavenworth County as far as with economics. And even though it's a roundabout way, if you end up having this tax, which I believe in, then it brings other things in that will drive other people to create businesses, things like that, who will then be paying property tax that will help then hopefully reduce some of the burden we've got right now. It's a starting point. I think it's a step ahead of what everyone else is doing because we know what's coming to the south of us. So I think it's a very positive thing to step into it.
My comment is the fact that the LCDC and the Port Authority were looking at asking the voters to pass a levy for economic development. And it seems that the conversation was that now is not the time. People probably wouldn't adopt that levy. But in this case, although this won't produce as much revenue, it will create the beginning of a fund that we can use, and we won't have to use general fund monies. We won't have to use property tax monies. But we can use these monies. For instance, if we do obtain the land that Senator Klemp is looking towards out there at the correctional facility, if we receive that land and we need to develop it, this can be some seed money for that development of that industrial facility or park. That's the way I look at it. And I like the second option because we have more freedom under the charter ordinance because we can use it for economic development, where the other one is more restricted towards tourism type thing. And I think most of our communities are right close to that level of a guest tax. So it's an offset for property taxes. It's not a panacea, but long term it will benefit.
And again, it's not on top of if there's already this tax being applied to the cities. It's not going to be paid twice. It's just allowing us to get the tax money the money that the cities are already getting, but the counties can't get it because we don't have a home rule.
And if right now we're using property taxes to pay, say, $25,000 for economic development, in the next budget cycle, we could take the money from this fund and use it for the economic development, and then that money saves the taxpayers on their property taxes.
Might take up one other thing there, Chair.
Go ahead.
You know, we've discussed the last 5 or 6 years about LCDC and Port Authority. I've never been against LCDC receiving money. I just know our budget's tight. I think this is a way, and Mike Chair brought it up, this is a way down the line that if we wanted to, this is funding that could help LCD survive. Because, folks, I've said it before, we've got to have some kind of item or some kind of engine that drives economic development in this county. If we're not, we're getting behind the 8 ball. So it leaves a lot of options available to us to work within what the law states. So I totally support it.
Going around, Commissioner Duff?
I'm done. Yep, I'm with that.
I'm good. All right. So we do entertain a motion.
Consider a motion to approve Charter Resolution 2026-CR1 establishing a 6% transit gas tax to promote tourism and conventions in Leavenworth County.
There's a motion on the floor. Second. Okay. Any more discussion? Go ahead.
Commissioners, I just want to remind you, as a charter resolution, it would take 4 of you to pass it.
Okay. And would it go into effect? Explain the procedure for the.
So if it passes, then I will have it published in the paper 2 times, one this week, one next week. Then we wait 60 days, and if a referendum is not filed, then it will go into effect. We'll notify the Kansas Department of Revenue, and then there's a formula. I think after they get it, it's the next quarter after they get it, they'll start collecting.
Okay. And is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Not for mine.
Okay, no discussion. We'll go ahead and vote. Commissioner Dove?
Aye.
No.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's what we needed, right?
4-1. Thank you very much. We'll move to the next item, which is consider a motion to approve a fee proposal and contract with Finney and Turnipseed for the 2026 biannual bridge inspections in the amount of $73,700.
Commissioners, today for your consideration are the proposals for the bridge inspection. As you guys are aware, we do biannual bridge inspections that are required. It is a unfunded mandate that has really increased over time. This year we do have some new requirements set forth by the federal government, passed through federal highway and down to the state for some additional data collection points. We did receive 2 proposals. We have used Finney and Turnipseed for the last 2 cycles. They have worked well with us on both the inspections and some of our grant applications, and we've had great success. We had a selection committee hearing regarding these 2 proposals, and the recommendation that came forth was to use Finney and Turnipseed for this cycle as well. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions, Commissioner Dove?
I don't have any questions right now.
Mr. Reed? Mr. Culberson? Mr. Smith? I don't have any, so is there a motion?
Consider a motion
Go ahead.
to approve the fee proposal and contract with Finney and Turnipseed for the 2026 biannual bridge inspections in the amount of $73,700.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
No discussion here.
Okay. Then voting, Mr. Dove?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you. Consider a motion to approve the proposal for Nextran Truck Center for the lease of 4 fully equipped dump trucks.
Today, also, Commissioners, you have for your consideration the formal proposal for lease for 4 fully equipped dump trucks with snow plows and sanders from Nextran. On October 25th of 2023, the Board of County Commissioners, they took formal action and directed Public Works to engage with Nextran in their government leasing program for dump trucks. This was the first lease program available for fully equipped dump trucks. You can lease a dump truck or you can buy dump trucks, but the ones that we do purchase are different than contractor ones because they are upfitted for the snow plows and sanders. And so previously to this, there was no government program for a fully equipped dump truck that would be ready for municipal use. At that time, and still today, we have an 18 to 24 month lead time from the time that we authorize this formal agreement to the time of delivery of these machines. They begin as a cabin chassis. They put the bed on them in Kansas City, and then they also add all the hydraulics for the snow plows and the sanders. So it's a very long process. When those trucks are delivered in 18 to 24 months, Nextran in this agreement utilizes their choice of financiers. Those could be local or from other vendors or from their own internal financial institution. As you guys have seen in the past, we've come forward with proposals from Kansas State Bank for the financing of those leases. We do have 2 trucks that were scheduled to originally arrive in August that are going to be delivered probably in late February now. They are 6 months behind schedule. Light duty, regular commercial type F-250s, 3/4 ton Chevys, those type of trucks have really come back into the market where we can order those without these long delays that we had experienced after COVID, but that is not the case for dump trucks. These lease trucks have an acquisition cost of $352,905 if we purchase them outright. Obviously, this is for 4 that have been depreciated out. The agreement outlines 3 yearly payments of $75,639 with a balloon payment option if we wanted to purchase those at the end of the lease. One of the issues that we had seen beginning during the COVID produced trucks, and really since all of the emissions controls have gone on these vehicles, is we were averaging almost $10,000 a year on some of our trucks in yearly repair costs, spending nearly $200,000 in 1 year for radiators and injectors. And so what we have found is that we have reduced the maintenance by keeping all of these trucks under a full factory warranty at all times, and the warranty is included in the leases. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those today.
Okay. Commissioner Duff.
Not yet.
Mr. Reed. Commissioner Culverson. Mr. Smith.
No. No.
Thought of anything yet?
I'm trying. Sometimes it's early for me. Excuse me.
Okay, I don't
Well,
have it. Is there a motion?
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm catching up. So you're saying that the amount of dollars that we would save by leasing this equipment instead of purchasing it outright, and therefore being responsible for all of the maintenance after a warranty, that we would be responsible for if we purchase it? Yes. But if we lease it, then they're responsible for it?
If we do not cover the costs of anything covered under the warranty, these are a 3-year lease, and so they will be replaced at the end of that 3-year cycle while they're still under lease. Currently, under the depreciation schedule that historically had been used by the county, those machines were generally kept 8 to 9 years until they had really reached the end of their useful life. And so as they go through all of the salt and all of the wear and tear of gravel roads, they generally have a repair cost associated with that in pretty much every machine. But we're offsetting some of these costs with the reduction in those maintenance costs.
Thank you. I guess I should have thought about the cars that I had leased in the many years. I would get rid of them as soon as their lease is over, because then the company would bear the expense of the repairs. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
And I might have Mr. Lawfrey, could you kind of give a background or history of when we've shifted over to the leasing?
Well, we started with our, just like the daily vehicles, not the heavy equipment, probably 6 years ago, something like that. We noticed quite a bit of savings through, one, not having maintenance costs associated with them, because we were keeping them 7 or 8 years, and some of them, by the end of the 7 or 8 years, we were spending $15,000, $20,000 a year on maintenance just on a regular van or a truck. So we started with those, and then when we sell them earlier, we get more for them when we put them back out on the market to sell. So a lot of these were coming back where there was very little cost, and some we actually made money on. Now, we started doing that with the heavier vehicles more recently, and like Mr. Knoll is saying, this is the first time on the heavy trucks that it's been an option through a state contract or a government contract. But we save money long term on the not keeping them as longer, because one, they have more value when we get rid of them. Two, we have them under warranty the entire time. And three, there's the opportunity cost that when they're broke down and in the shop, we're short a vehicle, we can't send equipment out, and we have a lot less of that now, turning them over quicker. So there's probably, there's definitely a little bit higher cost associated with up front, but there's an offset on the saved maintenance over the lifetime, plus having a vehicle that's available. We started doing it with other equipment too, our skid loaders, mowers, that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, the graders, the skid loaders, the backhoes, the rubber tire loaders. We're really leasing a lot of our equipment now. The government specifically to the vehicles, now the market is changing a little bit with the current car market, but historically we've been able to purchase or lease the government lease packages on some of the 3/4 ton trucks, and we might drive those for 2 years and 40,000 miles, and we have, because of the reduced cost that you can buy through government purchasing options and then selling it on the private market, you actually have been able to break even or in a few cases make money. Here more recently, we've had a yearly cost that has been around $3,000 per year on a brand new vehicle, and which is less than what we were depreciating them out at. And so there is a difference between doing this in the private sector that we could all do and doing it in the government sector, because there is a significant difference in government purchasing power and then selling it on the retail market.
The other thing it allows us to do is have a flat budget for it. Instead of having these balloons where one year we're buying 3 or 4 pieces of equipment, we spread it out across the entire life of the vehicle instead of the upfront. So that we say that makes the budgeting a lot easier as well.
More questions, Commissioner Reed or Culberson?
Nope.
Okay. And take a motion.
Consider a motion to approve. I make a motion to approve the proposal from Nexton Truck Center for the lease of 4 fully equipped dump trucks.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? Okay, seeing none, voting. Commissioner Doug?
Aye.
No.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right. We have now.
Mr. Chair, before
Absolutely blind.
Hey, Bill.
Bill,
Bill, hold on.
before you leave, I just want to thank you guys, your department, for the work that you've done during this latest storm that we've had. A lot of individuals, including myself and my wife, have noticed that you've upped your game out there, and with the not having enough equipment or chemicals to make those roads safe. I think you guys have done an excellent job, and I just want to thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I send my appreciations to all of the shop staff as well. They did an excellent job. We still have a lot of inexperienced drivers, and we had no slide offs. It wasn't a slick, and we had no accidents, which is always very important. Safety first, and working around the clock, 24-hour shifts. Really focusing on safety and doing a good job. But yeah, I appreciate the compliment.
That safety is a big issue. I work out with a guy who used to work for the Wyandotte County office, and he said that living with guys, that you guys do a great job as far as safety and making sure that those roads are as safe as they possibly can.
Thank you.
Very good. And hold that thought, because he's going to be back, and you can brag on him some more a little later. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Dove, for bringing that up. I did receive compliments as well on how good the county did, especially roads that are like, there's some really unique stuff, I think, in Leavenworth County, but you'll go forever off of a highway, and then you'll end up in this amazing neighborhood. And they were saying, like, it was not usually taken care of, and it was like first thing in the morning. My daughter had a play date, and it was like super great. So everything was awesome. I think you guys did really well. I saw county trucks all over when I was out there playing around. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Come back later. We'll give you some.
I'll be back. We
compliments.
have a quarterly.
Before I
Right here.
All right. Quarterly reports. Council on Aging.
Morning.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you. Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to come and deliver a quarterly report, especially with the growth and the things that are happening at the Council on Aging. We ended up the year serving just over 112,000 meals. That's up about 1,300 meals from last year. You can see that we had 266 new clients come on Meals on Wheels. So there was quite the attrition that we had in our program in turnover. I believe during our Christmas project we lost 60 residents during that time from September to December. So as soon as there is a vacancy on Meals on Wheels, someone's on. But we have reached capacity and will continue with a wait list and a prioritization of that wait list to ensure that we're serving those of greatest social and economic need first. We also saw 34 new clients on our transportation program, serving over 850 residents on our transportation program, driving about 186,000 miles in our county vehicles this year. Volunteerism at an all-time high. This is one of my favorite things to share. We have 192 active volunteers. I don't know of another community around here that has that many volunteers in a community our size, saving the county nearly $423,000 in volunteer hours.
A year.
A year. Yeah, so those are our folks that are using their own vehicles, their time, their gas to deliver our Meals on Wheels, who are coming in to lead support groups, lead our choir, different things like that. So we have a significant number of volunteers that makes the Council on Aging run with the help of our staff, of course. We came in under budget and generated 103% of expected revenue. So I've listed some of the additional funds that came in quarter four. We receive a monthly donation from the Good Shepherd Thrift Store. That was $3,000. Our Christmas project brought in almost $14,000 of folks who were buying Meals on Wheels vouchers, transportation vouchers, in-home support vouchers for residents to receive those services and not have to pay for those. Our pet program brought in almost $6,700, and then our gift shop is operated through all donations that come from our yarn groups, our sewing groups, folks who make things and bring them in and we sell them in our gift shop. All of those proceeds go to Meals on Wheels and transportation. And so for quarter four, that was just over $1,600. Also, one of the things that spun off of an idea that you had was the food drive, and so the Feed Leavenworth Coalition, we were able to hold food drives at the Council on Aging. We had one in November. We just had another one in January. We collected over 3,500 items, plus clothes, some brand new clothes for kids and adults that people brought in. So we are the central depository for those items, and we have given out items from those food drives to Catholic Charities, Community of Hope. We fill a pantry in Easton. We take items to Good Shepherd, Thrift Store in Tonganoxie, Birthright, and then community meals, meal sites. We were able to take the clothes that we collected, and folks were able, who came to get a community meal, to get some new clothes as well, and coats, which was nice. Let's see, whatever. We have about 40 partnerships that we work throughout the county to ensure that if we can't provide that service, we're referring folks to get that service from someone else. We provided 626 units of transportation for the Deeper Window Association. They take a weekly field trip on Tuesday afternoons. They sit in our demographic. We have that, a memorandum of understanding with them. We provide that transportation for them for a small fee. And then we were able to sponsor 307 folks for Christmas. So we partnered with all of our veteran organizations, VFWs around the area to ensure that our veterans meeting a certain economic threshold were able to be sponsored for Christmas as well.
So we'll entertain questions.
That's quite a report. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Mr. Reed, question? Mr. Culverson?
Nothing.
Mr. Smith?
As always.
Okay, I got some questions for you.
Okay.
on, do we have anybody on the waiting list for Meals on Wheels at this time?
We have 4.
4. And when you talked about prioritizing, the economically needy as opposed to other folks, how are we doing that in terms of the Meals on Wheels program?
Yes. So the Older Americans Act last year came out with what they call final rule. And so their final rule is that those of greatest economic and social needs are served first. So this last quarter, working with the county administrator, we redefined our Meals on Wheels protocols and established that at the point that we reached capacity with Meals on Wheels, we would establish a wait list, and then we have 4 standards of prioritization. One meaning those who are needed for health or social reasons, they're served first, because the only qualification for Meals on Wheels is that you're 60.
That you're 60?
60, and that you meet the
So young.
assessment
So young.
needs. You're no longer
That
cooking
means
for
us.
yourself, different things like that. So we're serving those of greatest social and economic need first, and sometimes that is also a medical need. So if they need that meal to sustain themselves medically.
So when we dealt with this, I remember the discussion. There was some discussion that there was a federal guideline that you can't ask for income.
You cannot.
And how do we get around that, or how do you determine social economic need if you don't know what their income is?
We can't specifically ask about income, but there are other determinants that help us understand someone's income without outright asking that question.
So the federal government's kind of given us a little bit of a catch-22. They want us to go by who's the most needy, but they don't want us to be able to ask the question.
Right.
So, but you overcome that by, what are some of the ways you overcome that?
All of our assessments are done in someone's home. So we're no longer during COVID, we were able to take assessments over the phone. We go to the home and sit and do that assessment with them. So there are lots of things that you can observe by being in someone's environment.
So somewhat of a subjective rather than objective.
Yes.
Okay, another question is, the budget was, since you came in, and this might be a Mark question, they came in under budget, does that additional funding that came in, the carryover, go into the general fund, or does it stay in their fund, or where does that go?
Council on Aging is their own fund, so any funds unspent roll into the next year into the Council on Aging. They do not go to the general fund.
But that could help when you do budget planning too.
We always utilize that for the following year. So when we forecasted a certain amount of that because we don't ever anticipate we're going to spend 100%. We think we're going to be close, but not always the same. So first of all, we look at what we forecasted there to be for a carryover. Anything over and above that then is just used to offset the following years. So any carryover coming into 2026 helps to reduce 2027's ad valorem.
So when some of these outside groups look at our budget and say, well, there's a reserve or there's a build-up amount of funds, this would be one of the things they would see is something like this, but it's actually committed to next year's budget.
So first off, some of it's committed to this year's budget. So when we do the budget and we look at, okay, where are we at in the year, we think, okay, for Council on Aging, let's say you're going to spend 95% of your budget. So that 5% that we don't think you're going to spend, we use that for 2026 to offset the mill levy for 2026. Then when we get into 2026, we say, okay, we thought you were going to be 5% below, but you were actually 7% below. Well, that extra 2% then goes into next year's budget to offset that ad valorem tax for that year. So it's not a rainy day fund. It's utilized for budgets.
So even though it might show up as a reserve and a carryover, the funds are committed.
Yes.
Last question I have is, when you deal with these partnerships and other organizations like the homeless shelters and do we know if they're well supplied with all clothes and everything they need, or do we know where that's at?
Yeah. So we're a part of the Leavenworth County Human Services Council. It's 38 nonprofits who come together. The things that we're able to supply from those food drives to them are things that they're not getting as commodities or from other means of funding that they may have. So when we do these community support drives, we're looking to fill those gaps of things like, for example, milk is something that the Community of Hope needs more than our folks at the Council on Aging will drink. So when we get breakfast items like that, we give those to the Community of Hope so they can serve breakfast, a hot breakfast to folks there.
So as far as you know, for being a part of this, the organizations are supplied with what they need right now.
Yes, we look to do a quarterly community support drive. I think it's proven that we need that kind of support, and folks are happy to do it. We have someone who comes every Tuesday and fills the pantry at the Council on Aging, just out of the goodness of her heart.
And so if there was a real need in that area and it was not being met, you would come to us. And
absolutely.
That's all I have. Is that Commissioner Duff?
Nothing.
Reed? All right. Thank you. So, building and grounds.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Quarterly report. Cushing Building, we set up an additional area in Mod RN as well as adding grow lights. No, grow lights not like what you think. They have a lot of plants over there. The facility is starting to look very doctor office-like. I believe the uptick of it has helped county employees. I know Nurse Kelly over there has seen a lot of patients, including family members. On that building, we had tuning of the boilers over there as a preventive maintenance item, especially with the upcoming cold. On the courthouse, in the coming quarter, we'll be working with Mr. Miller on converting your sound system over in the BOCC area. We removed the flooring and replaced carpet and flooring and did an update in the IT offices, as that one was extremely dated. The flooring in the BOCC meeting room was replaced to match the offices that were created next door. We've been working with Pullman, who is the contractor for the outside of the courthouse, on the copper selection for the sections of the roof that will be copper. They have submitted 6 different samples, and they want the ordering of the copper before so that it is on site, and price-wise they're maintaining as cheap as possible so we don't ever see a change order on those items. The health department, we converted over the monitoring of the fire detection systems and added a 3-way switch over there to the training room, which was completely needed. The EMS stations, we've continually had garage door springs snap and had issues with those. Those were replaced. The Justice Center, we had tuning on the Cleaver Brooks boilers, which we did a tube replacement on one last year, and we are functioning as should. We had some severe alarm issues with our fire detection system over there, and after multiple searches, found the culprit on rooftop unit 1. A device in that one had come free and gone down into the unit, crossing wires, and that's what caused us to have to evacuate the Justice Center a week ago with fire alarms going off. Sewer Districts 2 and Sewer Districts 5 had their KDAHG inspections for their renewal of their lease, or of their permits. Both of those passed. The only question that we had on those were the steepness of the banks and whether those will have to have riprap added to them later, and it was monitored and checked as needed. Special task, the county shop, we're working with installer on replacing all of the shop doors as they were outdated, and we were starting to have some issues with them. And the annex, we had a excessive water use from the city of Tonganoxie, which resulted in us having to close the annex for one day, and replace the main water line across. It ran under the parking lot into the building, into the middle of the building, since that was a remodel building. We relocated it to the loading dock area and bored across so that the new water line could be replaced in that area rather than the center of the building and tear out a bathroom. Other than that, the attorney's offices as well as the added office in the appraiser's office have been completed.
Any questions, Commissioner Dove? Reed?
I have a question about the parking lot.
Which parking lot? This parking
Next to the main entrance.
Huh?
Next to the main entrance.
Yes, ma'am.
The construction, how long do you expect those spaces to be blocked?
The completion of the outside of the courthouse is slated for 11/15/2027. When the terracotta is completely ordered and starts production, it's a 40-week wait time.
I get some questions about how we block those spaces off by going down into the pavement
Okay.
with those posts. Is that going to break down, allow water in, anything like that over time?
You will have water infiltration on it, but those parking lots on the front and on the back both need to be milled and overlaid, and the excessive amount of use that we're going to have from the equipment, the aerial equipment, turning and twisting on it in all degrees of temperatures, that mill and overlay is going to have to take place after we finish the outside of the building, as the grounds around it as well. When they start twisting and turning with aerial equipment, they'll damage the entire outside sod area of the courthouse.
Okay, thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Culberson?
I don't have anything.
Smith?
Not really. Attorney's offices turned out pretty nice. I mean, they turned out good. I'm glad we made that move to give the attorneys some private area for when they're talking cases or whatever they need to do. So that's all I have.
We are running out of space to build offices at, though. I'm just letting you guys know that now.
Only question I have is about the parking lot at the annex. Can you tell me what the status of that is?
Parking lot on the annex, you have failed base. That will be a spring put out for bid. See where we're at with it. And my recommendation on that one is to switch it from an asphalt base to a concrete. Due to the nature of the vehicles that are traveling on it, you have not only the buses that they use, the ambulance buses, but you also have fire department trucks that get parked on it. The continued heavy weight of that is not conducive to an asphalt parking lot. While the funding might not be there for a concrete parking lot, I'm at least going to explore an option 1 and an option 2.
It's been failing for a long time.
Yes, sir. The original parking lot was done by the county shop when Doug Smith was here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It needs to be done. So, all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We went easy on you. And Mr. Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
EMS Health Department.
I prepared end-of-year kind of reports for starting with EMS. Again, for our expenditures for 2025, we were under budget, which also allowed us, we hired in 2025 a new office manager. We also went through some auditing from Medicare, CMS. That helped us with understanding some of the requirements through billing, which allowed us on our user fee, as you can see on there, with some of our increase in transports and such, we were able to substantially bring in additional user fee above and beyond what was required for the 2025. We were at 137%. Statistics, as I said before, from 2024 to 2025, call volume was up over 800 calls. Of that, total calls with a patient on the receiving end, it was up 400. And then in that, we transport an additional 500 above the 2024 mark. So currently where we're running right now, even for January, last year in January we were about 36 to 37 calls per day. We're up to 40 calls a day. So we're still seeing that increase in that track as we move forward in comparisons to previous years. So on page 3, there's more statistics showing response times. One of the things I want to point out is we are starting to see additional response times, longer in that increase that we're up to 6.34%, greater than 15-minute response times. Again, that's coming from being out on more calls. Calls are happening when we're at status 0, which means we have no ambulances and another call. So that ambulance has to get to a hospital, drop a patient off, and then still respond to another call. We're seeing that more and more. In January, we had actually a few instances we had to use mutual aid from Atchison as well as Douglas County into our county to offset when we had calls pending. Again, statistics are just showing there. And then on page 4 is the geographical statistical data that the board has requested, so you can kind of look in the areas and different areas of where call volume is. City of Leavenworth is still the predominant, 58% of our calls, in second counties. So our larger cities obviously are our major call volume. I did want to just kind of reach out. Fort Leavenworth, since that was one of the big 303 calls to Fort Leavenworth last year is what we ended up with. Again, that's 2.25% of our call volume is to Fort Leavenworth. We were able to, even though our ambulance fleet is taking a little longer to get ambulances in, just as Bill was expressing in regards to dump trucks and such, we're at that 2-year mark. We still have our 2027 truck is already ordered because we won't see that truck until November or December of next year, as well as our 2026 truck next year. But we were able to still keep our expenditures for maintenance because we do proper maintenance along the way to try to keep any large items such as transmissions, rear ends, things of that nature. We're doing well on that. We were under budget in regards to at least some of the maintenance that needed to happen in 2025. Some of the updates to talk about with the new medical director, January 1, I was able to go around and get all the new medical director contracts for all the fire department first response. We got that taken care of in December, and getting her out and about to meet all the fire departments. A special item is this year, in actually 2026, our 50th anniversary for Leavenworth County EMS. So Leavenworth County EMS originated in 1976, and this is our 50th year. So we're looking at this year probably going to do just a special T-shirt that will allow all the technicians to wear while they're out on the truck that says kind of that 50-year mark and such. It's kind of a big thing for us.
Is that where CVS was, wasn't it? The original building?
Actually, it originated out of here, out of the basement of the courthouse was the original. We've been in the fairgrounds. We've been at the old CVS, which was the old armory. We've been at the glass shop that was there on Cheyenne. There's been a few areas that we've been at over the years that we've been around a little bit.
And the shame, Jeff, I remember a lot of those.
I do remember it in the basement now. You said that.
Yeah, I've got pictures of the ambulances sitting outside of the courthouse down beneath. That was
I forgot about that.
You remember all that, don't you?
We remember that stuff. It's good change. I like that.
We did have a lieutenant recently have a baby and decided that it wasn't conducive to still be on 24-hour shifts, so she resigned. That opened up a lieutenant position, so we're going to have an internal promotion process that's going to be happening. I did bring along our new training administrator just to welcome and introduce and kind of see what the board's all about. Jeff Travis is been hired in the end of the quarter of last year. Michelle Westfall retired after 24 years with Leavenworth County EMS, the training administrator. Jeff comes to us with 27 years of experience. He actually retired out of Jefferson County Medac as a lieutenant. He has a degree in education. We're very fortunate to have him apply and come. He also prior to even going through the process and everything else, him and his wife bought property north of Tonganoxie, and they're going to be building a house. So it's perfect. It's a perfect trifecta for us to be able to welcome him. So again, this is Jeff Traffus. He's going to be the new training administrator with EMS. So
welcome, Jeff.
Bring him in, let everybody meet him. And then the last is obviously World Cup is coming, and there's a lot of planning and things that are happening here in the region for EMS and health care. So we're definitely part of all of that and those plans. So with that.
We'll have questions. Commissioner Dove.
Thank you for coming. Really do appreciate the hard work that you guys have put forth, and ladies. And one of the questions I have, and I missed it when you were giving us a summation, is that the calls are up from the fort, and how many calls are we up from Fort Leavenworth?
At Fort Leavenworth last year, it was, I believe, 286 is where we're at, and we're at 303 this year.
We're at 303. And when we don't have a truck available or someone from EMS available when that's happening, then we have to call someone else from a different county to help us with that situation where now they have to come from where they're, let's say Atchison, to the fort to take care of that. How's that bill taken care of?
The transporting agency bills a patient for a user fee. So if they, if say Atchison comes and runs that call up on Fort Leavenworth, they will get that information. They will bill that patient for the user fee, and that ambulance service gets that user fee.
Is the county of Leavenworth responsible for more dollars when that happens? Is that going to affect? Okay.
We are not. Just as if Atchison needs us up at the county line for a month. We help them, or
it's reciprocal.
A agreement amongst all the investors.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your work.
Mr. Reed. Nothing. Mr. Culverson.
I was just going to add a little bit to what Commissioner Dove was saying. So there's that aspect of it, the direct billing and the reimbursements from the insurance companies and things like that. But I think what is hard to get across to people is the cost of having an EMS department. Is you have to pay them to sleep. You got to pay them to be there, to be available. You got to pay them to be just sitting around waiting to get the call. So that's the cost that a lot of people overlook. It's like a fireman. You have to have the fireman there ready to jump in the fire truck. So you got to pay them to be there and have that service ready. That's the expensive part. You know, the problem is not the reimbursements or the fees or anything like that. The problem is the overhead. So that's all I had.
Mr. Smith.
Jerry, I just had one. I've had a couple citizens ask, if you had to give an example of what the salary for starting something like that, would that be about $52,000 a year, or would it be somewhere in that area? So it'd be like $25, $26 an hour. I think sometimes the public doesn't understand that everything goes in to what makes up a salary for an EMS employee, how they break it down, how many hours you have to work and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure that got out there that, and I know we raised it not too long ago. Always going to need to come back and do things like that because we've got to take care of all the people. But I just wanted to make sure that was correct when I saw that $52,000.
Correct. Commissioners, you're correct. The average employee works 2,080 hours a year if you're a 40-hour employee. Right. EMS works 2,912 hours. So that's the equation that's used into. So sometimes the hourly rate looks lower, but when you look at the overall annual rate, and that's correct for an EMT, they start at about $52,000 a year, and then we have our own EMS plan and how the steps work and such. So it's about 52 for an EMT, and it's about 72 for a paramedic starting.
Very good. Thank you, Jim.
Is your question, though, when people see the 52 salary, they don't realize what does a $52,000 a year salary really cost the county when you add all the benefits?
They were more about that. We're underpaying the staff. And I think that the key thing was that, we just had this discussion a while back, and we had it with Public Works. I things like that. So I want to make sure I understand that we're fighting the battle with Johnson County and everybody else trying. Do we want to continue doing those rates? Absolutely. We want good people to stay. But I don't want to think we're lowballing them either, so you can't come work for the county. That's what that's about. But your point is, we'll take it. I know where you're going with that.
Because a $52,000 salary really costs the county, I'm going to guess, 80.
Yeah, well, I think the original question is somebody was questioning, you only pay your people like $15 an hour, but $15 an hour doesn't equate to $30,000 a year. It equates to $52,000 salary. The cost of the position, because they are KP&F, the cost of that position is probably more like, if it's a $52,000 wage, it's the cost for the position if they're on our insurance. It's probably more like $85,000 to $90,000 for the cost.
That's what
because of
the big picture.
The insurance, the payroll taxes, the KP&F is a big one. So yeah, that's
and most people, unless you've been an employer, they don't see that part.
That's right.
Those are also all things that are outside of our control.
Yes, absolutely.
We could make employees pay more for the health insurance, but the cost of the health insurance is outside of our control.
Right. Yeah. That's all I have.
Okay. A couple things. Your calls are going up every year over year. When you staff and decide that you need to move to having another ambulance, that's not just the ambulance, that's the whole staff for the ambulance, correct?
Correct.
Can you kind of talk about what numbers you're going to reach when you're going to need to do that?
Commissioners, we're at kind of that mark. If we keep hovering over that 40 a day kind of response, we look at how many times we're going to status 0, we don't have ambulances to respond, so on and so forth. So we're kind of at that realm. To add another truck, you're talking about 6 staff at a minimum. And when you look at 6 staff, that's at least 3 paramedics and 3 EMTs. And as we were just talking about salaries and such, we're looking at a pretty substantial dollar figure to add that truck. So we're hovering right over that.
Are you seeing that in the in our next fiscal year? Or
I'm going to be looking at that, and that may be something that is put forth, that this is, so we at least have it on the radar and know what that, will it happen in 2027? I don't know if that will happen in 2027, but if we continue on this rate, we're going to have to at least look at, by 2028, probably adding another truck. We technically, if you look at it now and you look at the amount of times and transport times and balance us off of the Kansas City Metro, per truck, we're running more per truck than a lot of other services, and that's also, as payroll is a problem, so is burnout. And when medics are for 24 hours straight running nonstop, that's something else that we need to address. So that's something that we will be addressing here in the next.
So that's for all you folks that are going to be here and maybe future,
Where you going?
That's good. I'll be watching you guys.
I'll be in the audience asking questions.
Sorry about that.
So the call trends for the EMS services to Fort Leavenworth, you said it went up from 286 to 303. What's been the trend of that over the last 5 years? Has it been stabilized around that 286, or has it been ratcheting up?
It's slowly increased, just like all the other numbers with the entire, it slowly goes up, just like all the calls within the county.
Okay, so when we service the fort, I'm sure those folks a lot of them have insurance, and then that insurance is billed towards the ambulance, or how does that work?
Correct. If they do have insurance and it's medically necessary, meaning their insurance company will cover that ambulance ride, then we bill their insurance and we collect that user fee. The unfortunate part is not everyone up on Fort Leavenworth has TRICARE. Not all of them. There's a multitude of different insurances. There's visitors. There's all sorts of individuals that are up there that we run and run on the calls for. And again, there's times that people call an ambulance and it's not medically necessary per their insurance company. So then that falls to the individual that have to pay for that ambulance ride, and then payment plans are established and such. So we don't get a full payment, if you will. It might take a year or 2 years for somebody to try to pay off that bill, if we can even again, locate them.
They might be in Afghanistan.
we may not see them. They may be transient. They may be here on a DUI, and we're trying to track them down all over. So just because we go up there doesn't mean that it's going to be 100% paid just because we went up there.
So the structure issue is maintaining the structure of having the truck and having the employees.
Correct. And
that is the issue.
303 times up there, only 268 had a patient. Those 268, only 220 were transported.
Yeah,
so out of the 303, only 220 of those actually had transport, which would be billable. And then of those, not all of those we're going to collect on, again, because they may not be medically necessary, they may not be covered by insurance, so on and so forth.
So hence the issue of the subsidy. We're subsidizing the care.
We still had to respond 303 times.
Well, we had to be ready to respond 24/7.
Right.
That's what Commissioner Culbertson was pointing out. Insurance, and outside of whether it's the Fort or anywhere, insurance payments do not cover the cost of EMS, period. And that's an allowable reimbursement through the state, through the federal government on their insurance, and through negotiated agreements. Those payments do not cover the cost of providing ambulance service in Leavenworth County. So everybody in the county who pays property taxes, a portion of their property taxes goes towards paying for EMS services. That's the challenge.
Because it's not a self-efficient department. It's a losing business. There were 2 private ambulance companies in Leavenworth that I know of. There are probably more if you go way back. But I remember 2, and they both went out of business. I remember talking to the owners, and they said,
how many do you remember?
You can't make any money in this county. So the reason they went out is because it's a losing business in Leavenworth County. So our property taxpayers pay for it. So we're just asking everybody that's using it, help pay for it.
But I think a key point, Chairman, the key point that Jeff and Mark both made is you have to be prepared for it. So you have to have the equipment, you have to have the staff, the personnel, you have to have the place they're going to sleep and eat. So that all has to be taken in. You can't just go say, okay, 303 is a lot of calls, not to be getting any funding for it, but you can't just say that's it, because that's just a small part of the big picture. The cost of everything else is what's driving the taxpayers, where me as a taxpayer is very concerned about that.
And 300 doesn't sound like a lot, but that's once a day, pretty much.
Yeah.
Every day. Every single day.
And it's not like they go up and drop somebody off. They're providing medical service to them.
And so to have the ambulance ready every single day costs $2 million a year.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mark has an excellent point here. Reasonable and customary charges, is far less than what the actual cost is for that particular service. And the longer that we live, because our life expectancy is getting longer and longer, we're going to have more individuals that are going to be needing these services. However, some individuals are just not going to be able to pay because the cost keeps escalating over and over and over again. And that's going to continue to happen. So reasonable and customary is not really reasonable. Maybe customary to go up, but not reasonable. Sorry, thank you.
Mr. Reed.
I'll get off my back.
I get questions still about, like, let's say we take someone to the bottom of the hill at St. John's, and then they need to go to the top of the hill, and we come back and we charge for both. Can you talk about that?
We don't charge for that.
Okay.
That St. John's has to pay that because they don't leave their property.
Okay.
So that's part of St. John's is they cover that cost.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure we stated it.
St. John's pays us directly on it. We bill that on a monthly basis. That is not part of a patient's bill. They don't get that bill from us.
So does the patient still get 2 bills, like a bill from the county for the original transport and then a bill for bottom to top from St. John's potentially?
If we pick somebody up from their private residence into the hospital, that is a transport.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bill. That's whether you went to any hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're at the ER and they go and they're being admitted up into the main hospital, that portion of it, that is not part. We do not bill them for that.
But they potentially will get charged from St. John's privately for that portion?
I can't speak on behalf on how
Okay.
St. John's does
Okay.
their internal structure on that.
That's all for me. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Conrad? Mr. Smith? Last question. When you were here last time, we were addressing the policy on if you've been stabilized in an ambulance and your desire is to go to X hospital as opposed to Y hospital. What is the current policy?
The current policy, Commissioner, is if system allows, we will try to accommodate that request. The problem that we're running into, and I've addressed it even at the last time, and we're hammering it out. We have calls stacked up, and so the ability to accommodate somebody that is now a stable, non-emergent patient and wants to go from, say, Leavenworth to KU or Leavenworth to Olathe or wherever they want to go, pulls that ambulance out of our system from responding to those next calls, and we have then either mutual aid partners that have to try to come in and respond. And when we do that, you're talking about 20 to 30 minute response times from Atchison or something like that on an emergency call. So what we're fighting is, again, not being able to have enough trucks to run the system to go farther distant hospitals. When we can, we do. I've got the list in here of when we've gone to KUs and Advents and whatnot. We do have a policy. If they're out and a patient at a house says, hey, I would like to go to Advent, the crew gets on the radio, they talk to the supervisor, they know what calls are pending, holding, whatever, and they can either say, yes, you can go, or hey, we need to get you to the closest facility because I need you to respond here.
Makes sense. As far as recovering the cost, do we have a protocol for recovering the cost if we go to a hospital that's further out?
They sign, anyone that we sign and transport, you sign that you understand that we're going to bill your insurance, and if you're not to the closest appropriate facility, you're going to be responsible for that bill.
Makes sense.
And then they get charged, if it's medically necessary and insurance is going to, then they are responsible for that additional mileage.
So,
Can I have one more?
go ahead.
Jamie, just to make sure I'm clear, we're not saying that we won't take you to KU or whatever when you go. If you get stable, I said St. John's, but they cannot handle the procedure and it's an emergency, then EMS is going to transfer to the hospital that can handle that, heart, kidney, something like that. So we're not saying we won't do it. It's just that we've got other things. If we stabilize you and you're okay, then you got to rank that. But if someone's got where they can't be treated correctly, then you're going to get them on that, however way you can get them to the right side.
Correct. And there's a couple ways that happens, whether we take the transfer as soon as we can get a truck available, or we've used AMR, we've used Tech Inc., we've used other transfer ambulances to come in and also get you down to whatever.
Well, I guess what I was trying to make clear is people, we are going to get you where you need to go if it's an emergency situation, if they can't handle it here locally.
Correct.
If you're stabilized, I imagine there's cases where people just self-transport.
Correct. That's also another option. If we correct something and they say, hey, I would still like to go to Advent, or they have the option, and it's even in protocol. They can sign a refusal and they can go by POV down to whatever hospital they'd like to.
So, okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, gentlemen.
Public Works.
Oh, Jesus.
Again.
Mike, I brought you some big copies. Do you have big copies?
You got the big print. I'm kind of proud of you.
I got some reading glasses for you.
I'm kind of proud. I'm proud of you, Bill.
Anybody else want big print?
Sure.
My glasses aren't big enough.
I could have gone 24 by 36, but I thought it'd be enough.
All right.
Big print?
If you have it, I must have it.
Hey, Vanessa, would you like to have some reading
I'm
glasses?
good, thanks, so.
I don't want to assume anything here.
I can see it from here. I can read your copy to you.
All right, Jeff.
You're a scholar.
Reading just fine.
I get what's left over. Is that yours?
No, they're yours.
Okay.
I can read mine.
Okay.
2020.
2020, that's right.
Just wait till you get to be 58.
As long as I don't look at it one eye. My stigmatism is pretty strong.
No problem.
You got two eyes.
When's your birthday?
Not one.
November.
Okay.
Still a young man.
All right. So,
Shoes over there.
fourth quarter, the first page we've got. I'm not going to go through this thing line by line, obviously, but
Thank you.
I will point out.
Come on.
Wanted to point out on page 1 the amount of material that is used in a one storm event. So on the bottom of page 1, we have the December 1st and 2nd storm event, which was very low temperatures, and I don't remember the exact snowfall amount, but maybe 6 inches. But we used 900 tons of salt and sand, 400 tons of pure salt, 4,700 gallons of calcium chloride, and 4,000 gallons of salt brine. And so just wanted to reference that, give you an idea of what a single storm event takes. Obviously, some of them have longer durations, you have different temperatures. That was a very low temperature event for the first snowfall of the year, but I want to point out that some of the costs associated with these responses and 24-hour responses that we do have. So we do always order back as soon as the storm's over. So this week we've ordered back more salt to replenish that we've used. Often it can take months, a month to get that salt all delivered, and so we try to order that as soon as possible. Your transfers into the 220 fund. We discussed the public works budget. On budget, I want to point out we have, at the time that this was written, we have 3 vacant positions. We currently have 4 vacant positions within public works. We have a project manager position, 2 heavy equipment operator training positions, and currently an office admin position at the county shop. So we have 4 vacant positions. Generally, we can fill those within 30 days. By the time they are filled, we have another vacancy somewhere. So we are continuously addressing that issue. Mowing wrapped up at the end of November. Obviously, mowing is always a big concern. We mowed about 3,900 miles of road. We had 2 tractors that had extensive breakdowns. As we drive those tractors on embankments for year after year, they aren't made to be on those embankments. They're agricultural tractors with arms attached to them and different secondary attachments that and they do break. There has been a trend. We are seeing pricing coming down on track machines. Neighboring counties just bought 2 of these machines where you are using a track machine with a boom arm to mow some of those steep ditches and get some of the wear on these tractors. So we'll be exploring that through the coming months, bidding those. We have bid some of them in the past, and they were considerably higher than a tractor, but it appears that the price.
So I'm going to hold you right there. Is there any questions up to this point on the report?
No.
Go ahead.
I've got one, Bill. I used to know this, but when we get weather really drops down, and you talk about the calcium chloride or sulfite, which are the ones that can handle the coldest weather and still work?
Calcium chloride.
And what is that? What is the temperature on that?
I think it's around 12 degrees. It'll still work. Salt, 17. A big variable is sunshine.
Right.
It can be 10 degrees, 15 degrees with a bright, sunny day, and on that black asphalt, that ground temperatures will heat up. If you have a very overcast day, which we had on that December 1st snowfall, it was very gray for the days after that. It did not melt off as well. This snowfall that we just had, although the temperatures were quite a bit lower, we'd had really good melt-off with the chemical because of that sunshine popped out the day after the storm ended, and really makes a huge difference when you have that sunshine on black and on the asphalt. So it's 17 and 12, and that calcium chloride is usually in the brine solution, so you can add more calcium chloride to a certain degree without hurting your roads. Try to get that temperature as low as possible.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, go ahead.
So the Noxious Weed Department does help. They generally do the subdivisions in our snow removal efforts. The Survey Department completed the field work and has set every single section corner in High Prairie Township that was missing and determined the location of the existing section corner. So we're continuing with the township surveys. So we have now completed Alexandria, Easton, Kickapoo, and High Prairie. I believe there's a little bit of drafting possibly left to do on the High Prairie Township drawing for the survey, and we have moved into Tonganoxie Township. You can see in the map that was provided where we're at with the progress of the Tonganoxie Township, and every single one of those dots is a section corner that we will be either finding or setting through this process. Fleet management has continued to order and replace vehicles through the enterprise system. We currently have 19 vehicles that are due for delivery. We have 2 dump trucks that are anticipated here within the next 30 to 45 days. And we continue to manage the GPS and camera systems in all of our equipment. We currently have 143 GPSs installed that are being tracked and 138 The reason for that discrepancy is there are a few pieces of equipment that are heavy machinery that have GPSs in them. Oftentimes, some of those don't move very much out of either the Tonganoxie quarry or the shop location, but we do have those installed there just for safety in case they were stolen or being transported out of the shop, so we can always track their location.
Okay,
that's where you see it.
Stop right there. Any questions? I do have one. Can you comment, and maybe Mr. Lawfrey, on the having the cameras, how that impacts our county liability and our insurance, and how that saves us, how that saves the county money?
Yeah, we've had multiple instances where there have been accidents where we could pull up the footage and show it so we could demonstrate who was at fault. Actually, when we first put them in, we had a couple accidents that our cameras picked up that we weren't even involved in, that we were able to share it so they could help with that way. It also monitors driver behavior, so it makes sure that they're buckling in, it makes sure that they're not speeding. If we ever get a question about where that vehicle was located, like I think probably 4 or 5 years ago, we had somebody call and say one of our vehicles backed into them at Dollar General and drove away. We were able to look that up and verify that none of our vehicles were even in that area. Ended up being a different government vehicle, wasn't us. So things like that. But then we can share that. We monitor that with our insurance company as well. So driver modification, so behavior modification, I think is where we probably get the most savings from it. People are less likely to speed. They're less likely to have unsafe behaviors like using their cell phone while driving, because all that's monitored and reported.
Another thing I would reference, just yesterday, we received a phone call from a public person of the public that said we had an employee sleeping on the side of the road. So we were able to pull up the interior camera of the vehicle and the exterior camera and the GPS location and verify they'd only been there 10 minutes, that they were on their lunch break, and they had worked nights all weekend. And so we continued to monitor for the next 15 minutes. After about 25 minutes, the individual moved on and continued their day of work. So they were just on their lunch break, and they were in an area where they were working, and they just pulled over to the side of the road in a safe location to eat their lunch as they were checking subdivisions. And so it is a great deterrent for both the employee, but it is also allows us to verify any report that is provided and ensure that these things aren't occurring. We get those reports at least every other week or week that are coming in regarding our employees. I would say our employees don't even realize we've checked, because 99.5% of the time, I would say only once or twice have we found anything that seemed out of the ordinary. Almost always, the employees doing what they should be doing in a responsible manner and are operating within the confines of their
When we had 22 appraisers in the appraiser's office, we had to make a policy that they could not eat lunch in their car because we would get so many calls of people seeing them sitting in their car. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess people have extra time.
Yeah.
That's being nice.
Okay, moving on. Go ahead.
Moving on to the big sheets, we have the project status update, or the project status report. All of the projects that are on that sheet are currently underway in some manner. These are all 2024, 2026 projects. Currently under construction, we have County Route 30. It's moving along on schedule. Its scheduled completion date is on here. It is anticipated to be completed by next fall, or this coming fall of 2026. We have the bridges on Golden Road under construction. Currently, they're working on the East Bridge.
Can you back up and address the $6.2 million, where that's at in the process on that County Road 30?
Well, that was coming forward, but
we'll
get to the.
Okay, as long as you're going to get to that, that's fine.
That's the very last project. So we've got.
I'm excited about that one.
You are. We've got the two bridges. We've got the two bridges on Golden Road. They're currently constructing the east one. We have the bridge on 179th, which is just south of US 73. It is continuing on schedule. So we have 3 bridges and 2 miles of County Route 30 currently under construction, which is a lot. And then we have a multitude of different bridges under design or under contract. Bridge A07 is currently under contract. Bridges HP 51 and SH 33 will be bid together. One is a prefab structure for the deck, and one is a cast-in-place deck, but they are basically the same type structure. We think there's a cost savings associated with bidding those together. We've been advised of that by our design firm, and just from our experience, that has really worked out well on these really small bridges that are going to take 30 to 45 days. If they're going to mobilize into the area, they want to mobilize once, so you can cut down some of those mobilization costs. Bridge R50 works with the design. Bridge T50 is on Parallel Road. It's under design by Finney and Turnipseed. It's the beam bridge that had the deck issues that we have the steel plate on. And then to Commissioner Stevens' point, we have the second and third phases of County Route 30. So the second phase from Dempsey to 4H Road is 2.5 miles. Those plans are an office check phase. They've had their first review. We're waiting on their final review to go to a final plan set. We're currently in acquisition. We have the appraisals done on the property by a third-party appraisal firm in accordance with the federal highway requirements if funding does come available. And then we have, we'll start moving utilities immediately thereafter, any that do conflict, which I believe there's at least a phone line out there that we're going to have relocated. And then the third phase just went under contract. The board approved from 4H Road to K92. That's 1.5 miles, and SMH is designing it. The funding for that project, we talked about it in the past. We applied and have been working internally with Senator Moran's office for a $6.2 million grant as a congressionally directed spending project. That project has passed the House last week. First it made it out of committee and stayed in the Transportation, Housing and Urban Development Appropriations Bill. And then last week it did pass the House. And then I believe from what I've seen on the internet, it made it out of committee yesterday to the Senate. It's still included in the funding. And so it has passed Senate committee and onto the floor of the Senate when they will either consider the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development funding as a standalone budgetary item, or they will do it as part of a full budget process over the next few days. It does have a January 30th deadline for federal highway and for government funding and a shutdown. So we should hear the next week or so. If we do receive that funding, I intend on trying to get some Build Kansas funds. So we'll see if those become available. But I'm told that they are a possibility where we can see the remaining portion of the project being funded through the Build Kansas program.
So that would be the county match.
That would be the additional $3 or $4 million that the project's going to cost. We're going to apply for funding for that as well. So,
any questions, Commissioner Dove?
Nope.
Commissioner Reed? Mr. Coppers?
I was just going to say, to mark 9 years, when I started, I asked him how long you think it would take me to pave County Road 1. And he said, I don't know, but the answer is 9 years.
Well, it's not paved yet.
Well,
So it's going to be longer than 9 years.
I'm counting my chickens next year. Right.
It's on the map.
It's on the map.
I would give it 10. If we get federal funding, I would say that'll be it. It'll be years. It'll add a little bit of time, just like the Safe Streets for All grant that we received. It could take 3 years of paperwork to get to the point where you're in design. You're in design and utility relocation and acquisition at least. Usually these are constructed about year 4, year 5.
That's the $17 million give or take grant.
That's $23 million.
23 total. Yeah, that we were awarded. I think they made that award around Christmas time, but the governor's office released it last week, maybe.
Oh, did they? I didn't see the governor released it.
Yeah.
The Federal Highway marked that. They sent it out on the 23rd at about 10 o'clock at night.
And the only sad part about all this is when I started this and I looked back and I found that past commission had the opportunity to do this exact thing, and the state was going to pay 90% of all the costs. Yeah, about 20 years ago. And the commissioner said no.
What?
The commissioner said no, and the state was going to pay 90% of the cost, and the county commission said no. We don't need it.
Why would the commissioners say no to 90?
They didn't think it was important.
Things have changed.
Commissioner Smith?
Hopefully.
So, along those lines, let's just have a little conversation here. Because there's been some comment on social media about the fact that some of these projects are involving, congressionally appropriated funds, or they're involving matching funds from the state or grants, and we're receiving a little criticism for, why are you taking that? Because that's taxpayers' money. Well, here's the deal.
If we don't spend it.
If in a perfect world, if you're a perfect libertarian and we had a government that had a balanced budget on the federal level, maybe they wouldn't give out any congressionally appropriated funds, or they wouldn't give out any earmarks. But as long as the system is, as it is today, currently, that you have to compete for these funds, and we elect folks like Senator Moran and Congressman Schmidt to go up there and access these funds, it lowers our property taxes locally, and it helps and benefits our infrastructure needs locally. I don't think we can be people that don't want to participate in the system when everybody else is participating, especially when these funds would go to New Jersey, or they would go to Delaware, or they would go. Mr. Knoll, you said that in that one, the last grant, big grant, the $23 million, we were one of, is it correct, we were one of 2 in the state of Kansas that applied for that, or that received it?
We were the only county eligible for it because of the study, and the city of Wichita, I believe, received some funding for some safety improvements. So we were one of 2 communities in Kansas that got it, but we were the only county even eligible to apply.
And we were eligible to apply. Why?
Because we had completed the Safe Streets for All study under the very first.
Ding, ding, ding.
2019, 2020.
It was 2021. We got the funding. So when the Biden administration created the program, despite the fact under their criteria we weren't eligible for any construction dollars, we went ahead and engaged in the study that was 95% covered by the state and the federal government under the very first round, which put us ahead of all of the other counties in the state of Kansas because we were the only one get that study. And then that, under the current administration, they changed the criteria for funding, and we were eligible. And then we were the only county in Kansas who was eligible to apply for the implementation construction.
And just to make that a little more clear for folks, those requirements under the Biden administration were the DEI requirements, the diversity, equity, inclusion requirements. And when the new administration came in, some of those requirements were removed, then that made us eligible.
It was socioeconomic requirements under the original criteria.
And that was changed by the current administration, making us eligible. So it's a great deal, and it's good that we were proactive to get to stay ahead of it and keep the application in. Another question that's come up that I would like you to kind of outline is people say, well, what good does it do to be in MARC? And can you kind of walk through what grants and benefits did we get from being in MARC, specifically talk about the BACR project?
Well, first I would just point out that we contract through the MARC contract for our aerials. And so the aerials alone generally would cover the cost of our membership in the Mid-America Regional Council. Secondary to that, we also, through GIS and in the 911 department, the Sheriff's Department, the NG 911 system is administered through the Mid-America Regional Council. And so those two factors alone make membership a cost-effective scenario for Leavenworth County. But as far as the transportation grants are concerned, while the county isn't standing alone in being able to apply and be what they call aligned, highly aligned category on many of the surface transportation grant projects, some of these connecting links through the city that have been historically maintained by the county, like 155th Street in Baser, Washington Street in the city of Tonganoxie, 158th Street, Parallel Road in the city of Baser, they have historically been maintained by the county crews as connecting links through the cities. And so at the time of application, we were still maintaining 155th Street. It was being maintained as a county roadway. Now that project Baser applied for and we helped on their behalf argue for and vote for with the other communities, that is now a city street after construction, and it's transitioned with curb and gutter and storm and all modern amenities with sidewalks. So while we may not be eligible for a County Route 30 project or a bridge replacement through the criteria set forth by the Mid-America Regional Council's guidelines, we are definitely going to benefit in those areas where we have roadways that run through cities that were county routes or were historically maintained. And so I think it's important that we continue to engage in that relationship just for the funding mechanisms, because it is a cost savings overall to the county. I believe the city of Baser has received, I don't know what the total award was, I believe it was $8.5 million for 155th Street, and then another additional $7 million or $8 million for a parallel road in 158 going down to the intersection. So they also have received trail grants and other grants for connecting trail systems within the city of Baser. And so I think per capita, there would be an argument made by Johnson County communities that Leavenworth County residents have per capita benefited the most of any residents in the Mid-America Regional Council area by the amount of money that the city of Baser has received over the past 4 years. Because per capita, they've received more money than any other community in the entire region.
And we, as the county, dedicated close to $2 million, wasn't it? Our match, or was it right at $2?
$2 million.
$2 million, and that was ARPA funds, if I recall. Is that correct? Yeah.
Now, I will say being a member of the Mid-America Regional Council is a huge time commitment. Now
Oh,
we
yeah,
have
we know.
we have subcommittees. It's reaching a point where it's nearly a full-time position, just to keep up with the changing guidelines and rules and scenarios. We have a meeting today at 1:30. It'll probably last 3 hours. It is a huge time commitment to try to attend all those meetings. We have multiple departments, planning and zoning. I believe Connie and some of her staff are on some of those committees. So it's a multi-departmental effort just to try to attend the meetings.
And which department, I mean, which committee are you having a meeting today?
I believe it's the Total Transportation Policy Committee.
So yesterday, I was at the MARC meeting, and they elected new leadership, and we had, one discussion was the stormwater retention policy, and a question I brought up was how much is it going to add to the cost for developers and for cities? And that, Johnson County doesn't always, the Johnson County standards don't always match what a more rural county like Leavenworth County standards we would want. And they admitted that because they said they have 4 different portions of the stormwater plan that are exemptable by local governments. It's kind of like the codes. They have exemptable portions. But I think it's important that we have more rural and conservative areas represented so that they can hear our voice on some of those committees. So, anywho, the last thing I had was I appreciate and we put this out before the last snowstorm, but this road department, in advance of the snowstorm, you put out this paragraph that went out on social media, and it said, the road department has pre-treated all the hard surface county roadways with a brine solution in preparation for the incoming storm. With the current and forecast temperatures throughout the weekend, snow melt from the salt sand treatment will be very minimal. The material on the roadways will help with traction until the temperatures rise. The extremely low temperatures will create a light blowing snow. They'll most likely have some drifting. This may create conditions that it appears the roadways have not been cleared when, in fact, they have been plowed hours earlier. The road department will work around the clock with a night crew until the hard surface roadways are cleared, and they will work 12-hour shifts with the graders on the gravel roadways. Diesel gelling is a major concern with forecast wind chills. All of the fuel has been treated in an attempt to prevent this from occurring. As of this morning, the forecast snow totals are still 4 to 8 inches, and there's some more here, but this was all posted on social media prior to the storm coming in, and I think that helps. People know what the county's doing, because I know sometimes there's some parts of the county where KDOT is in charge of the maintenance, and they think it's the county, and that becomes an issue. But I think this is really good that you put this out. I appreciate it.
I'll finish today on 2 things. One, we have about 60 days before you guys are going to start the budget process, generally marked over the coming 60-day period, and we bring forth our CIP. So in about 60 days, or third week of March, is when we usually meet about the 5-year capital improvement plan, and that current plan was adopted by the board, is in the packet. And so if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. And then with that, I attended the Kansas County Highway General meeting that was at the KAC conference this year in December. And Don Husky, the chief of local projects at KDOT, had prepared the bar graph on the last page, and I think it's an interesting bar graph in that it shows that on average county road maintenance across the state, the budgets have increased by just under 50% over the last decade, but we are providing a significant amount less maintenance miles of roadways. So what it shows is we're not, as a general trend across the state, even though the budgets have increased, we're not keeping up as a state network in the maintenance of the roadways because of the increased cost. When we've increased 50%, what that is saying is we've had about 150% increase in the cost of the maintenance of the roadways. And so while the budgets have gone up statewide, they aren't truly at the same level as inflation, because inflation numbers are measured necessarily off of the aggregates and commodities that are used to maintain local roadways. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Dove?
I don't know how we keep up with the inflation rate keeps going, and the price of goods and services is way over what our income is.
Well, I've had communications with the Secretary of Transportation over the course of the last year and other officials at KDOT, and one of the things that obviously you don't see in a 4-year term is the historical trends of taxation in the state of Kansas. So if you look at the motor fuel tax in Kansas, the last increase in the motor fuel tax was in 2004, and the Public Works Department in 2004 was 65% funded through motor fuel tax in Leavenworth County. And so it was a user system where when you bought fuel, 65% of the budget for the maintenance of the roads was coming from those fuel purchases. In your last budget, it was 11.25%. And so we have not had an increase in the motor fuel tax since 2004 in the state of Kansas. And so with inflation over the course of the past 20 years, that 65% funding through a user fee of motor fuel tax has been eliminated to 11.25%. And so now you are closer to 88% funding the department through general mill levy taxes, and the tax base is not as broad as it was 20 years ago. And so you've really focused that taxation for the road maintenance on real estate in the state of Kansas. And so you'll see that in the coming budget, but that's part of the increases. While you see an increase in budget, you see a reduction in the amount of people who are paying it, because it's no longer a user fee system as much in the state of Kansas as it is a property owner fee system.
It's a lot.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Culberson? Mr. Smith? Oh, I'll be easy on you now. I'll say I don't have anything.
All right.
Nobody shot at any of your snowplow?
No, that was across the river, so we made it
Wasn't that far?
incident free. Yeah,
Wow.
wild.
I was like surprised where it was.
So now we'll do the presentations.
Thanks, Bill.
Or we didn't need to have an executive session, correct? Okay, presentations from the community.
I'm going to Topeka today to be on a board for NARCO. And the subject is actually trying to find a way to educate individuals who are going to the legislature about county government and how it would work if the individual had more understanding of how local government works before they jump into the state and then make demands and put unfunded mandates on the county. What? Because So I was asked about it, and I don't know what they like my opinion. But I'm going to be going today to have a conversation about that. I really feel very, very strong that any individual that participates in the system and they want to become a legislator, that they should be, I can't say required, but they should look into how local government works.
Mark, did you hear that from me for a couple of years? I repeated that for 3 years, exactly what you're saying, because you're right on point.
It should be a prerequisite.
It is.
But there's no way to make it that way.
You're right on point.
I'm with you 100%. I mean, I have to confess that I think I would have made a much better legislator if I would have known some things that go on in county, city government for the actual votes that we were having to participate in. Because when you have a stack of papers about like this, and you're given that stack of papers 4 or 5 days before the vote, that 4 to 5 days is in some cases, you get it on a Thursday, and then you come back on a Monday. Well, what happens in that amount of time? You got honeydews, you got everything else that has to be done, and it's one of those things. Oh, I'll catch up. No, you don't. No. And so, what individuals tell us is that you pick out someone within the legislative body that has experience in that area, and try to get the information from them. Well, that could or could not be true, especially when you don't know what the reputation of that individual is in the past. So I'll be going, and hopefully we can make some headway to educate individuals who want to become legislators to get some education about it first.
That's great, Willie.
Mr. Reed? Mr. Culverson?
I was just going to mention I reached out to our local school superintendent, and we're going to meet over the voter registration or enhancement, project that we were working on. So
that was a good meeting, though. That went very well. I don't have anything to do.
Okay. I have a couple things. I was just going to read, this person sent me a little note, and it says, I was reading the article in the paper about the civics involvement with the schools. I distinctly remember when I was a senior in government class in high school, we took a field trip to the courthouse in the spring to register to vote, since most of us were 18. Maybe that's something to do in our high schools. Are there businesses and other local leaders who would be willing to go to the schools and figure out how to help? My business is dog training, and I don't generate a lot of revenue, but I'd be willing and have in the past to go and talk about starting your own business and how the city and state regulations affect that. So that was a good response from our meeting the other day. Another thing is today they have the March for Life in Topeka at noon. And considering everything that's been going on in the world the last couple weeks, I wanted to read a little poem. Between the monsters and the weak. In silent rows of blue and gold, they stood beneath the rain that fell to earth like angels' tears amid the sad refrain. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, the notes hung on the air. Alas, goodbye, a muffled cry, a word of whispered prayer. And as beneath the flag I go to take my final rest, my duty done, I leave you a lingering request. To raise a glass in memory of all the good I've done, to now and then tell stories of the races that I've won. Go start with all the bad guys, ones we lost and ones we caught, or daring do, heroics too, the battles that we fought. But then recall with laughter all the mishaps we created, the flubs and goofs, the pranks, the spoofs, their telling oft inflated. But given time, let stories turn to things that really mattered, the ones we served, who need us most, the broken and the battered. Those who call in fear of violence, spouse or muggers on the street, and those stranded on a highway in a night of snow and sleet. Don't feel the need to mention all the burdens that we carried, the awful sighs, the sounds, the smells, the echoes we keep buried. That's just the price we paid to be the ones who charged the fray, the rush into the worst of times when others run away. It doesn't matter when or where, it matters not the danger. We race as though to help a friend when called on by a stranger. And maybe just remind the few, if ill of us they speak, that we are all that stands between the monsters and the weak. That is about our law enforcement. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Voting? Mr. Bell?
Aye.
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 Aye.